Obviously disappointed with the outcome, but really proud of the group, not only in the game today, but what they've been doing all season. So had our challenges, had our adversity, but we met a lot of them. Today we came up a little bit short. Yeah.
Questions for Brett? Brett, they seem to do a pretty good job of slowing things down for the neutral zone today. How much did that keep you guys away from the game you wanted to play, especially in the first couple periods?
I think we just tried to stick to our plan, and at the end of the day, you're going to face different teams that have different ways of playing. And today, it went in their favor. They got more pucks in the net than we did, but that's hockey.
Can you talk about what it was like to face the rematch of the title game in the quarterfinals, and if your approach changed when you learned that, or kind of what your mindset was going into it?
Sure. I definitely think it was a rivalry coming into it. Obviously, they're probably, feeling that sting from last season, and we didn't want to feel that same sting this season. So, like Coach said, we did, we put everything out there that we could, and someone's got to win at the end of the day, and today it wasn't us. But, I'm not coming back next year. I'm graduating, but we've got some younger girls that'll have another crack at it. So.
What do you think they did especially well on their power plays today? They were able to convert on that teams hadn't been able to against you guys?
Sure. We knew coming in they were 31% on the power play. I think it's just kind of a little bit of a different style of play here on the East Coast, and that happens, and we need to be prepared for that. But at the end of the day, they're talented. They're a good team. Just like us, they're practicing every day. So they happen to have a good power play. I think we did pretty well on the kills, but someone in the net, and that's the way it goes.
Coach mentioned the adversity and the challenges of this season. How much do you think that's weighed on you guys in this second half when it didn't really go as well as it did in the first half of the year?
At the end of the day, you got to play. So whether you have 3 lines or 4 lines doesn't really matter. Obviously, you don't want to go through injuries and things like that, but that's life. So, it is what it is, and we went out there and we gave it our best, and I'm proud of the group this year. It's tough to win every year, and so I'm very happy with my career here and the group of seniors that I've come through with.
Kennedy Blair faced some really tough shots from Northeastern, had a really excellent game in net. Can you talk a little bit about her performance?
Yeah, she played great. They're a talented team. They have some notable players for sure, and Ken's a great goalie. She really stepped up this weekend, and I think we're really happy with how she played and how she was in the net. So, she played well.
Coach, Erin Frankel is somebody you've recruited and they're familiar with. Can you talk to her, your thoughts on her performance today?
She's taking questions.
Any other questions for Brett?
Right.
Good, thanks.
Thanks. Good job.
Thanks, Coach.
Questions for Coach?
Sorry about that. I need to ask you a question. I apologize. So Erin Frankel is someone you recruited back in her high school days and someone you're familiar with. Can you tell me your thoughts on her performance today?
She played well.
Did you think it was anything different than you expected the way they played in the neutral zone, especially in the first couple of periods? It seemed that really slowed you guys down.
No, that's not part of what the game was. If you watch the game and you analyze the game and now you look back at the game, there were certain points within the game where things changed and could have changed both ways. And so obviously we wanted to get off to a fast start, but also a cautious start. But we take a penalty 4 minutes into the game, and they capitalize on their power play, which Brett said it's a good power play. And they did a good job of creating a rebound, and the girls on the back door, and it's 1-0. Now they're really excited because we're not even to the first media timeout. But I like the way we responded, and we got ourselves back at 1-1, changed the momentum a little bit, and then we're going to face off in the offensive zone with 28 seconds to go. And with 5 seconds, it goes in the back of our net on a deflection. And so, that changes the game too. So instead of going to period 1-1, now you're down 2-1. And then, they capitalize one in the second period where it's like a little game of chess going on out there. So that's what the neutral zone does to you. So you have to adapt to it. So people are trying to make plays. And to me, the word as I use today with our team is they got to be patient, because 3 or 4 shifts, nothing might go on. And then all of a sudden, there's a turnover, there's a poor pass, there's a poor decision, or somebody makes a play, and then something happens. And so even halfway through the second period, we're fine. They only had 12 shots on net halfway through. And then, we don't get a puck in deep, and we spend the next minute and a half in the defensive zone. They get a couple opportunities, and then shortly after that, they make it, 3-1. Now they got momentum, and now the game shifts. And so even in the third period, I told our team, the only thing we need to do is somehow get the second goal, make it 3-2. If we can do that in the first 5 or 7 minutes, then we're going to get some momentum out of it, and we do that. And so now it's like, can we get, another one in the next 5 or 6 minutes, get a little momentum, got them playing on their heels a little bit, and, then we take a silly penalty. And so the neutral zone, it is what it is, but both teams are playing and adjusting as you go through it. And they capitalize on their opportunities. As Brett said, their power play is good. The second one we had, we defended it well, and the second power play goal they scored, it's like the game of hockey. The puck has eyes, it finds its way in, and now it's 4-2. But even that, we still had some chances. If you make it 4-3, you can pull your goalie, and you never know what's going to happen at the end. So it's like I said after our last game, there's going to be a story attached to this game. That's the story. And so little pieces and little sections within the game change the momentum, change the game on both ways. And their power play was probably the difference today, that they were able to capitalize on those 2 goals they scored. And the one at the end of the period, obviously, to me, is one of the bigger ones. That's a long version, probably answer to your question.
Coach, your team is known for not giving up very many penalties throughout the season.
We don't take many, no. If you look at our record this year, and since I've been coaching, we're usually in the bottom of our league, and we don't take a lot of penalties. No, that's a correct answer.
Can you talk a little bit about maybe what changed these past couple of games? You've given up a little bit more than you normally do. If that kind of changed the pace of play, particularly today, and what your response to that was?
How many do we have today?
3.
Yeah, so that's within our range. I mean, if you take anywhere from 1 to 3, that's, especially against a team that's got a power play that's over 30%, that's a number. You'd like to keep it maybe 2 or 1, but if you told me before the game we're only going to take 3, I said, okay, we'll deal with those. But yeah, so, and then like I say, every game's got its own story, and we've had games this year where we've had 5, 6, 7, 8 penalties in a game, and yeah, just the nature of that game, whatever that game you were involved in. So, but generally we're pretty low penalized team.
Trying to kind of hold this together personnel-wise, get people on the ice and get them back on the ice throughout the second half of the season. How difficult has it been to manage this in terms of personnel and keeping people feeling good about themselves as you're going into a tough part of the season?
It's a fair question. I mean, the challenge I think our staff had this year was, how do we run practices? And, what can we do within a practice to, keep the kids, in game speed and prep for, the weekend series that we play. That was the biggest challenge, because you don't want to wear them out. I mean, if you only have X amount of players at a practice, it's much more challenging to run a practice than if you have a full squad. You have 4 lines, you have 7 or 8 defensemen. It's easier to run a good tempo of practice with that out there. And, we had challenges, but we're no different than any team. I mean, it's an Olympic season. We had 4 people gone to the national team the whole year. 2 of our players in the first 4 games tear their ACLs. And so as a coach, you can get frustrated or disappointed, but it's like, my philosophy is, it's like I show up, talk to my trainer, who's available today, whether it's practice or the games, and that's what you deal with. And that's all you can control. So if we're going to Duluth and we only have, 14 players, okay, figure out how we're going to, be successful with that group. And because you can't use that excuse, because everybody goes through seasons where things don't go well. You get more injuries than others. And like Brett and these kids, there was adversities, especially the second half. But, they kept plowing away, and, you saw it today, they fought till the end, and, unfortunately, we came up a little bit short, and the season ends. That's what makes it challenging and tough.
Can you speak to the group that's going out, the group that's you've had 5 years, some of them for 5 years,
Yeah.
some of them a couple, Kennedy's been 2, but they're for 3. Just a lot of success in that group. And
Yeah, they've won championships. They won the NCAA a few times, and so as I told them after the game, I mean, last year at this time, we're celebrating taking the trophy back to Madison, and they knew how that felt because they were experienced it. And this year, you switch roles. I mean, Northeastern came back and they were close, and they were feeling, disappointment. Now we leave the building with that shared feeling of disappointment. And the hardest thing is when it's over and it's done. We can't come back Monday and practice, and that's when it'll hit them again. I mean, they're disappointed and they're crying, rightfully so, because as you well know, it takes a lot of time and commitment. For some of them, they've been doing it now 5 years. And all of a sudden you say, well, you can't do it next week. We're not going to do it anymore. You're done. So that's why I called the timeout at the end and took the 6 seniors on the ice and said, hey, go enjoy the last 6 seconds of the game because you got a lot to be proud of. And they certainly, in a week and 2 weeks, as they reflect on their experience at Wisconsin, they got a lot to be proud of. I mean, they took away a lot of things, and they left us in a lot better shape before they came.
Coach, how good is this Northeastern team going into the Frozen Four? I know that you have a lot of respect for Coach.
Yep, yeah, Dave does a nice job. He was well prepared. I mean, very evident the first power play we had. He changed things up quite a bit. Gave us fits on our first power play. Did a good job of killing that penalty. Well, the one thing, they take away from last year, as tough as it is to lose in the championship game, is, if you get back there again, you're experienced. And so they got a veteran squad. They got a lot of graduate seniors. They got a bunch of seniors. So they've had players that have been there before. And I know back in whenever we made the first trip to Dartmouth in a quarterfinal game, and we ended up losing, but you got the experience. And I told the group after that year we lost at Dartmouth, and they were setting the stage for that next group to take the next step. And so sometimes it's tough to lose in championship games, but if you have returning players, they can learn from it, and they don't want to do that again. So they're in that position where they can walk in, and whether they're playing Minnesota or Minnesota Duluth, again, they're veteran, they're experienced, and the experience they had last year can help them.